This video is brought to you by Squarespace. From custom domains to beautiful websites using their easily customizable templates that you can have up and running in minutes, e-commerce, email and email marketing, SEO, analytics, and scheduling, Squarespace does it all and has done it for us for the last 10 years. If you are a small to mid-sized business in any industry, Squarespace is the place to go for all of your website needs. Hop over to www.squarespace.com/Hugh for a free trial. And if you like what you see and want to move forward, receive 10% off your first order by using the discount code Hugh at checkout. Thanks, Squarespace. And brought to you by Helium Design Lab, makers of the multiple patents pending AirTag, ArcaSwiss, Peak Design, and Leica Finger Loop compatible, beautifully designed and executed, anti-theft Helium 3 grip for Leica's Q3. Oh, baby. Not that we're biased or anything. Some things never change until they do. There are so many things these days more important to contemplate and act upon than a $6,000 28mm f1.7 fixed lens camera that can only shoot in black and white. But oh baby, quel objet de désir. Was für ein Biest. What imagery. What a joy to shoot. Hey everybody, I'm Hugh Brownstone for Three Blind Men and an Elephant, and I will just cut to the chase. Leica's $7,800 61 megapixel sensor equipped, brilliant integrated lens image stabilized Summilux 28mm f1.7 equipped, rear articulating screen equipped 5.7 million .EVF equipped IP52 rated Q3 Monochrom is sublime and sets a new standard for image quality among full-frame autofocusing cameras. Now, if you know me at all, you know I am not unbiased when it comes to Leica. But I think it reasonable to assert that I've had more than my fair share of experience with many of the highest-end cameras over the last half-century. How did that happen? I'll put a link in the description down below to our Leica Q videos, from the original to the Q3 and 43 we bought with our own hard cash and use regularly. Anyway, in my experience, no other camera on Earth can match the Q3 Monochrom's unique combination of tonality, resolution, acutance, high ISO noise performance, industrial design, menu system, size, weight, build quality, heritage, prestige, talismanic quality, autofocus performance, tactile quality, and joy in manual focus, even price, even now. which, to be clear, is not the same thing as saying it will make one a better photographer, nor that one cannot achieve amazing results with gear costing a tenth the price. It won't, at least not directly, and one can. It is also not the same thing as saying one cannot experience sublime image quality and feel in hand from other cameras, nor enjoy far greater versatility. One can. The bottom line is that the Q3 Monochrom is an expensive niche camera. Some of us will find irresistible. Others among us may simply scratch their heads. Others still may shout obscenities or mutter snark into the ether from the comfort of their mom's basements. Fair enough. The two things that may leave most of us scratching our heads? Well, the price. A whopping $2,000 more than the Q2 Monochrom launched in 2020. And the fact that in 2025 it arrives with contrast detection only autofocus. Let's get into it. First, the Q2 Monochrom was already expensive when it was announced in 2020. $6,000 at the time, same price for the original plain Jane Q3, announced in 2023. The Q3 Monochrom is 30% more expensive than either. On the other hand, the plain Jane Q3 now sells for $6,735, making the Q3 Monochrom a more modest 16% dearer proposition. Call it a reflection of the age in which we live, an era of escalating retaliatory tariffs not seen since 1930 with the passage of the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. Still, for Leica fans who recognize the Q3 Monochrom as far more than the sum of its parts, it just might be a steal. That's because the interchangeable lens, but not weather-sealed, manual focus only M11 Monochrom will set you back $10,160 for the body alone. Add to that another $3,100 for an Elmert M28 2.8 aspherical, $5,775 for a Summicron MF2 aspherical, or most directly comparable, $8,550 for a Summilux M28 f1.4 aspherical, and you're looking at somewhere between $13,000 and almost $19,000 before you add in, if you'd like, I'd like, another $1,000 for a 3.7 million dot, but articulating VisaFlex 2 EVF. Twice the price or more. Worth it for some of us, absolutely, but if a 28mm field of view is your jam, if you don't need interchangeable lenses, and you want everything the Q3 Monochrom gives you that the M11 Monochrom can't, well, oh baby. Frankly, while most people thought it would be inevitable, I didn't think we'd ever see a Q3 Monochrom because I didn't think it could be done. Sure, the Q3 Monochrom is a Q3, same body with articulating screen, IP52 rating, same 61 megapixel resolution, same Maestro 4 processor, 8K video resolution, image stabilized, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. But it is not a Q3 in these particular ways. A. The Monochrom omits the bare filter found on the original Q3's 61 megapixel backside illuminated sensor. This is what makes it a Monochrom. And my tests here in the Batcave confirm the two characteristic details of a Monochrom sensor. All else being equal, to my eye, at stupid high magnification, the Q3 Monochrom let in almost 2 additional stops of light. Okay, at the level of granularity I used for these tests, 1.6 stops compared to the original Q3. Put differently, the Monochrom offers 1.6 stops better noise performance, which means that for the same noise level, one can either reduce ISO by 1.6 stops for better dynamic range, or for the same ISO, increase shutter speed by 1.6 stops for less camera shake or motion blur. Noise at ISO 50,000 on the Q3 Monochrom was about the same as the noise at ISO 16,000 on my regular Q3. this is a significant difference, always most noticeable at stupid high ISOs. It is also the case, again, for me, and I imagine to the most discerning among us, that the output from the Q3 Monochrome, stupid high magnification or not, is definitely sharper than the output or the appearance of sharper than a plain Jane Q3. Holy moly! I think it's fair to assert, however, that for most of us, this will be a distinction without a difference. I'd guess that for 99.99999% of us, 99.9999% of the time, will not print an image large enough, crop an image to such an extent, or view it at so much closer than normal viewing distances that individual pixels become the point. B. The Q3 Monochrome takes a page from a couple of other Leica cameras. It adds content credentials from the M11P that previous Q3 variants miss. It spots the SL3's new user interface right down to the latest set of Leicons. For those of us using any other Q3, however, have no fear. Leica promises a firmware update before the end of the year to bring all variants of the Q3 up to speed. Precisely when, I do not know. It is sheathed. Well, it looks and feels like it to me, in the same leatherette used on the monochrome versions of the Q2, the M10, and the M11 to distinguish them from their plain Jane originals. The Q3 Monochrome, in other words, is the most advanced and sublime Q3 yet, wonderful in hand as always. The only thing that might make it even better, beyond hybrid phase detection autofocus, shameless plug alert, especially out on the street or while traveling, is our helium-3 grip, now in stock and available for immediate shipment. Second, likely the most important caveat for most of us, the one thing every other Q3 has that this Q3 Monochrome does not, hybrid phase detection autofocus. As I mentioned earlier, the Q3 Monochrome uses contrast detection autofocus only. Does it matter? It can, but hold that thought while we answer this question first. Why not hybrid phase detection autofocus? I thought the answer was that phase detection autofocus requires color. But that's not quite right. I now understand, or I think I understand, that what it actually requires is a micro lens design atop each autofocus point, essentially allowing each pixel to see binocularly so that the camera can use triangulation to calculate the focal plane. If these micro lenses are built into the bare color filter array, then removing the filter removes them. It is, I imagine, too expensive and time-consuming, with an insufficient return on investment given the low volumes of monochrome cameras, to redesign and fabricate a dedicated monochrome sensor with those micro lenses in the sensor itself, rather than in the bare array. That's my guess, anyway. As to how much of a difference the Q3 Monochrome's contrast-only autofocus system actually makes? Too early to tell. But I would note this at this point. A. I could only squeeze in a couple of hours with the Q3 Monochrome before I had to return it, and I was happily preoccupied with the joy of shooting it, not testing it. B. Those were, of necessity, daylight hours only. C. I did find a single frame out of focus, and I cannot tell you if it was due to an errant focus box courtesy of my prodigious proboscis inadvertently tapping the rear screen, or low light and low contrast in the dominant shadow areas of the frame. D. As I already mentioned, the Q3 Monochrome uses the same Maestro 4 processor of every other Q3, rather than the Maestro 3 processor employed by the Q2 series, including that generation's Monochrome and the current M11 series. I imagine the newer processor could well yield improved autofocus performance, could be a function of algorithms, who knows what, perhaps noise performance as well, over the Q2 Monochrome, but this will require dedicated testing. And E. Although the autofocus performance of my hybrid phase detection AF-equipped SL3 is definitely faster and surer than my also Maestro 3-equipped, also contrast detection AF-only equipped SL2, there were very, very few shots I couldn't get with my SL2. So, practical impact of this omission TBD, to be determined, once I can dedicate time with the camera for that purpose. The things that have always kept me from going monochrome are the loss of color channel information when I edit and I use on my way to black and white conversion. I'm very happy with that. My satisfaction with both the image quality, noise levels, and the dynamic range of the cameras I already own and love at the image sizes and viewing distances I prefer. The twin facts that I rarely shoot above ISO 12800 anyway, and the latest noise reduction tools are phenomenal. And futzing with red, yellow, orange, and green filters. Not my jam. Back in the day, I initially worried about the Q2 Monochrom's autofocus performance in low contrast, low light situations, evenings, because that's where contrast detection only autofocus suffers the most. But I didn't have any problem when I used it to take these. I'll wrap it up this way for now. Leica's Q3 Monochrom is, like every Q ever made, industrial art. It is also the most advanced Q Leica has ever made, with the very best image quality you can buy in a full-frame autofocusing camera, period. Monochrome tonality already reminded me of nothing so much as medium format film, but the clarity of this particular sensor in this particular camera reminds me of nothing so much as medium format digital. 102 megapixel digital, you not. Then again, it is a niche camera by dint of price and limitations. As I said, no color channel information, no interchangeable lenses, no hybrid phase detection autofocus. The need to futz with filters if you want to get the most from it. It is clearly a photographic instrument first, second, and third, 8K video notwithstanding. I like that. I don't know precisely how much the absence of hybrid phase detection autofocus will matter, so I guess we'll have to hold that thought together. All of which leaves us here. You know who you are. You know whether or not you want it. You know whether or not you can afford it. And hey, good news. If you do, if you can, if you are so inclined, the Q3 Monochrom is here. It's in stock. You can have it. And you will have something quite extraordinary in hand every time you go out to shoot. Yeah, this video is brought to you by Squarespace. From custom domains to beautiful websites using their easily customizable templates that you can have up and running in minutes. E-commerce, email and email marketing, SEO, analytics, and scheduling. Squarespace does it all and has done it for us for the last 10 years. If you are a small to mid-sized business in any industry, Squarespace is the place to go for all of your website needs. Hop over to www.squarespace.com/Hugh for a free trial. And if you like what you see and want to move forward, receive 10% off your first order by using the discount code Hugh at checkout. Thanks, Squarespace. If you like what you've seen here today, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, join the conversation in the comment section below because this is an exceptional audience. If you'd like help with a portfolio review, gear selection, finding or honing your artistic voice, sign up for a one-on-one mentoring video called via Zoom at 3bmep.com/booking. Finally, please consider supporting our work by using the no-cost to you affiliate links down below, sending us coffee money via PayPal, or most especially, joining us on Patreon, links down below as well. However you choose to support us, as always, we thank you for it.